All right, and we are live for the Expansion Chamber, episode 6. My camera is still not cooperating. Joined again by Pete of TFN 15 and Brett of Nightwood Guns. So today we're going to talk about things being made in China, being made in other countries, optics, gear, guns, all this stuff. You know, should you just buy American or should you look into just buying whatever the best is, right? Brett has made some videos recently on some Holosun optics, the 509T, the EPS carry. And, you know, Brett, why don't you talk about your experiences there?
Yeah, so as far as the whole made in China thing, so here's the EPS carry. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think that it's blown out of proportion a lot. I think a lot of people blow what I say out of proportion too. If there is a non-Chinese alternative, I choose to buy it if it's of equal or greater quality. But at the end of the day, you're putting something on a life-saving device. You should be buying the best no matter what it is. And American companies should just nut up and do better. That being said, if there is a non-Chinese alternative of equal or higher quality, then I will personally go that route just because I feel it aligns with my principles of I would rather throw money into the American economy because like Trijicon optics, right? So like this SRO, Trigicon's, the housing is manufactured in America. So those are American manufacturing jobs when it comes to the housing. Now, granted, the chips and electronic parts are Chinese, but you do the best that you can. And this, you know, somebody is paid to make this in America, and I'd like to help support them. I would also rather support a socialist Swedish person than throwing money into communist China that wants to win World War III.
China number one.
So it just boils down to personal
Welcome
preference.
to the
I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't buy. I just think it's really slimy that on the Holosun box, at least now, it didn't used to be this way. Nowhere is it said made in China. Nowhere on the unit is it said made in China. They just are hoping that they can get people in a gun store that don't know. And they're like, oh, this is the best red dot. Get this one. Boom, they buy it, knowing that American gun buyers would probably prefer not to buy something made in China. So to me, it's a slimy business practice, and I'd rather throw my money towards something non-Chinese. But that's my personal preference. Feel free to do whatever you like.
So speaking of China, recently one of those China optic companies that you see on Amazon reached out to me, and they offered to send me one of their optics. And I was like, I looked at their webpage and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is probably some piece of crap. Sure, send it to me. Why not? I'll blow it up. And to be fair, on their box, it says, if my camera's going to cooperate, it says made in China, right? They're not hiding it. I mean, it's literally called the H Chang, right? And then their motto is just go and do precise hit, right? Which best quality English. But I'm not going to give away too much. I still have to take it to the range and do some evaluation. But it's actually not terrible for what you're getting, what someone would.
How much does it retail for?
$109 right now on Amazon.
Yeah, that's definitely not bad.
That's dirt cheap. That's like airsoft quality.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So I was just about to say, like, that would be a great airsoft, like, optic. Like, it would probably be better than the one that I bought on my SIG M18 replica.
God awful.
Yeah, I have that SIG like M18 replica bad. For airsoft. The only reason I bought it was because it's one of the only airsoft pistols that you can get that has an optic on it without having to like do all kinds of crazy airsoft pistols, folks, ladies and gentlemen, just so everyone knows, and Brett too. Like, it's not like you just strip the guts out like you do on a Glock and you're, you know, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. You know, you're in, you're out, you're done in 5 minutes. It's a real pain in the ass. I mean, it's like tons of
tolerances are just completely out of spec.
Yeah, little
parts.
Screws.
You buy a part, it's like it's compatible with this system. Oh wait, no, you have to shave like 5 things down and like put a little spacer in and like all this shit.
Like if you don't know what you're doing and you get an airsoft Glock, let's say you go to tap out the rear sight, you're gonna like literally bend the entire thing in half because the rear sight doesn't tap out. You have to like pull it out from the bottom. It's just all janky. It's nothing to do with like the way a real gun, you know, works in that regard, you know. But yeah, if you could put that sight on an airsoft pistol, sure, I wouldn't have any problem with that thing being on my gun and getting shot out or whatever. It has
like nice adjustments. The refresh rate's good. It has clicky windage and elevation adjustments. And
what's the weird thing it does? It does a weird thing you said though when you like.
So something I noticed versus like, let's say like this Holosun, right? When I'm presented and then I start dipping my dot down, I see my dot all the way till I reach the bottom of the window. Versus on this guy, my dot starts disappearing about a third down the window. It starts cutting off the dot. When I go up, I keep the dot the entire time until I go out of the window. So that's really the only time you notice dot movement. If your dot's down here, that means you're probably doing something wrong. So I don't know. Like I said, when I shoot it, I haven't shot it yet. When I shoot it, I'll see. And maybe the thing is a steaming pile of crap. We don't know yet. But it's interesting that you have a lot of optics that are made in China. And interestingly, they make some other optics that look like they make an enclosed emitter for like $180 on AliExpress. So, is there something even better than the 509T for the money? Who knows?
Right. I mean, listen, the way I feel about
at
it,
least they admit it, made in China.
Yeah, I mean,
lying.
yeah. No, it's true. But I have to say this: like, at the end of the day, yes, do I want to buy? I would love that Trijicon just keeps pushing the envelope, right? Like, if Trijicon made a big window SRO that doesn't crack, or it's super durable and has 3 different types of reticles and runs forever and is a top loaded battery and everything like that, of course I'd buy the Trijicon 100%. I think, like, for me, like the Holosun, it's oddly pushing the industry forward in terms of offering so much for so much less money, right? Like if you get some dealer discounts and stuff like that, certain Holosuns like that 509 could be extremely cheap,
Well, and I got these back in the day when they just came out, and they were way cheaper. Prices have really gone up. I think I got mine for like $350.
Yeah, exactly. So, you could get those optics used, or you could find them now that the 509 isn't even like the latest, greatest, newest thing, like the EPS.
Now it's the EPS
it's the EPS. Yeah, exactly. So they're pushing the American industry. For example, I once on my Airsoft channel back in the day, I had an iteration of a video like EOTech versus Holosun, right? Which is a joke, right? Like, you're comparing 2 different things. It's a holographic sight versus, a red dot technology that's been around for, 50 years or whatever the hell it's been, So it's a joke. But the reason I put that video out was to kind of force EOTech to think about what they're putting out, right? They're putting out a product that, and I understand, guys on the internet, please don't jump on me now. I get it. It's holographic. It's different. Parallax is different. Everything like that. I get it. But
thermal drift.
Yeah, right. Thermal drift. But the thing doesn't, like, the batteries will, if God forbid you leave that thing on, the batteries, you're dead in no time. But the next time you pick up the rifle, probably, right? It's got 1 reticle. You can have all the reticles with EOTech, only so long as you want the donut of death. That's it.
To be fair, They just released that collab with T-Rex Arms where they have a single dot version if you want that.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting because this is the only thing I ever liked about EOTech. If I magnify it, the dot doesn't get bigger.
Right.
So now that I can get a single dot, combine it with like EOTech's new like 6 times magnifier or whatever, where essentially I can get a 1:6 with a true red dot usage. That's a little bit more interesting.
But here's the thing, dude. The Holosun, hate him or love him, right? They are pushing the optics industry to advance forward, right? Because people, you know what I mean? So like people at Trijicon are probably going like, at first they were like, it's China made. Who gives a shit? Right? I'm sure that was their attitude, and I'm sure to some extent it still is their attitude, because they're gonna lean into, well, we're American made, even though I have to send my RMR, which has basically been dry fired, to Trijicon because it's already like having issues and stuff. But regardless, they are pushing these companies into thinking about, hey, can we create at least, like, Trijicon, if you're listening, for the love of God, at least create an optic that you can either put a side mount a battery or top mount the battery or whatever, right? So I don't have to take the stupid optic off, right? Go ahead, Brett. Yeah.
Do a closed emitter SRO. Everyone will be happy.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
Toilet paper tube.
Yeah, I don't even care. I don't even care how it looks. Just make a closed emitter SRO top. But again, how would you make a top loading battery in a closed emitter? So that's why they're just stuck.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I mean,
or side loader.
The MPS from Steiner, the battery just sits on top.
Yeah, that's true.
or like the 509T is a side loading battery,
side loading tray, or the Acro where it's a side loading like a T1 essentially.
Right. So like if
to be
if
fair,
that's why
Holosun
exists,
just put a T1 on a Glock. That's a
right, but I mean, if that's why Holosun exists, right, is if the only good thing from Holosun ultimately is to push all the other optics companies that are American made forward, like Vortex, right, like we were talking about their customer service the last time, right? Like, God, if they would just make something that's not a Venom, right, like something good, make something good.
What's the other one they make?
Razor.
No, that's their really nice LPVO.
Yeah, that's their LPVO.
I think they used the Razor name also for red dots like 5 years ago.
Well, we could take a look, but
it's the Viper.
Yeah, listen, man. Like, I think that optics are here to stay, right? On pistols, I think we've all dude. I don't want to go back to irons. Like, I shoot irons only to train on them because they are backups. And like, what if you're, I want to know my holds and everything like that. So I do shoot them whenever I go to the range. I dedicate some time to them, like maybe a box of ammo, maybe 50 rounds. I know that sounds pathetic and terrible, but whatever.
I can't remember the last time I shot, well, at least the irons on my guns. I have some guns that still only have irons and then I shoot them. But like the backup irons, like they're backups. And I've reached the point with some of these optics like this, I have abused the hell out of it. And as long as the only issue I ever had with this thing is this screw backed itself out twice. And eventually I took the screw all the way out, put Loctite on it, put it back in. Haven't had an issue.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, look, man, all I want is for American-made companies to catch up now. I mean, it was really great for the last time that this stretch of time that you guys have had all this time, and your government contracts, and what's the word? Familiarity breeds contempt, right? Like, everyone's feeling real familiar now. Well, listen, Holosun came in, gave everybody a wake-up call, and they've taken a nice portion of the market share. Now, I don't like the fact that they're made in China, but they are progressing and making a good product. And seemingly, right, if I can run with it and it runs well and it's not dying on me, then what can I complain about? It's cheaper and better. And that's what capitalism is. And that's what America is all about, that competitive market. So even if Trijicon makes something in America that's a little bit more expensive, and Vortex, right, makes something in America that's a little more expensive, I would buy it. If Vortex it was better.
Taiwan.
Yeah, I would buy. If it was made in America, I would buy it. If it was a little bit more, let's say $100 more or $50 more, but not freaking Aimpoint Acro P2 on eBay raking you over the coals prices.
Vortexes are also made in China.
Okay,
but Vortex I think is based out of the UK.
Right. Well, there it is. So bottom line, dudes, like, when it comes down to this argument,
never mind. I'm sorry.
When it comes down to this argument, we can talk all day along and be patriotic and like, oh man, you see all the guys in the comments always like, oh man,
I only buy American.
I'll buy American when it comes to my guns and my trucks.
Typing on my Chinese phone,
precisely,
and on my Chevy truck that's made in Mexico.
Yeah. It's 2020. It's 2023, dudes. That's it, and you got to come correct. They're coming correct. And like I've said on the last show, when you go to the Holosun booth at SHOT Show, it's not like, you're not looking at the Chinese Communist Party. You're talking to American dudes, solid people. They know the market. They know what we want. And they're the only company that I see in the optics space responding so quickly.
Primary Arms.
PA's dope.
PVOs and stuff.
Yeah, they're dope too.
But when it comes to pistol-mounted optics, Holosun I think is top of the game right now.
And they're responding to what we're asking for, guys. Like we're literally looking at them in the face, saying, "Hey, dudes, can you? This would be great on a micro. Cool. Here's your fucking 507K. Here, throw it on there. It works. It's great. Because the technology is old as F. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? At this point, like, just make it in the shell that we need it in, and Trijicon, I'll buy it from you. Just stop raking me over the coals.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if like Holosun was the typical, oh, this is what's made here, but made in China, and they're taking advantage of it, making it cheaper. But no, they're innovating and they are leading the pack, and it's made in China. And I think the frustrating thing for American companies is, unless you are a company like SIG, you can't compete with Chinese manufacturing, because
the thing is, SIG manufactures in China. for their optics.
Yeah, well, I think their closed emitter is made in the U.S. because they were bragging about that at SHOT Show. It's like made right here in Georgia or something. Anyways, yeah, look that up. Fact check me on that. Anyways, the problem with HoloSun and what's frustrating for American manufacturers is they can't compete with Chinese manufacturing. And the reason for that is so consumers are like, Trijicon, we want this. The cost for them to tool up to deliver that and test it, do R&D, all that kind of stuff is so much harder than it is when you have an entire Chinese factory where it's like, yeah, we'll tool up in one day and we'll crank out 10 prototypes and then we'll
for slave labor children.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing is it's cheap and it's fast because they don't mind abusing their workforce and they pay them nothing. So it's much easier for them to do it.
Also, and this is looking at it. So they are assembled in Oregon, SIG Optics. Right. And so this is the thing. I do want to make a difference between the company like this and HoloSun. This is made in China. I guarantee you probably, and nothing against the person I was talking to, but they may not even be based in the United States. Right. I mean, I doubt there's any American jobs other than the people who work at Amazon and the people who work in the Postal Service that get jobs from this company. Right. Versus HoloSun, all their employees beyond manufacturing are American. Right. Yeah. Their customer service, American. They're web developers, American, right? As far as I can see, everything is American of HoloSun. Even SIG, right? All these companies, Primary Arms, it's an American company. They just outsource manufacturing because going American makes it so much more expensive. Then they don't have that room for innovation. So I don't justify it, but I understand it, and it's not as bad. To me, I would still rather buy a HoloSun over one of these.
Absolutely.
Because at least this is an American company, right? To me, this interests me more simply, I wonder how good it can get for how cheap, right? And I think ultimately it's still good to have cheap offerings that aren't bad. Because if I'm new to the red dot game and I have my Glock and I don't want to spend a bunch of money on something I don't believe in yet, if I can get a $120 optic that will function as a range optic, that's what I see this being, is a great intro to red dot optic, right? Where it's like, I don't believe in red dots, whatever. Okay, buy this. It'll function. It has decent feature set. It's easy to use. It mounts on RMR footprint. I hate this camera. And then you can go buy the nice HoloSun, the Aimpoint, the Trijicon, the Steiner, whatever you want to do, the SIG later on, once you've been proven on the concept. So these companies are definitely different than HoloSun. I don't miss that. I definitely see and understand that. But there is the fact that HoloSun kind of tries to hide it. That bothers me. In this article, right, this is, and of course, it's guntalk.com. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some SIG shill. It says, I jokingly say with SIG optics, they are just poor spellers. They forgot to spell made. Some of the high-tech parts from the optics aren't made in the USA. Rather than being dishonest, SIG Sauer discloses that they are assembled here in Oregon. So, made in China? Right? Like, rather than being dishonest, SIG is dishonest.
And you know what? At the same time, though, like, while it's not American manufacturing jobs, when you buy a SIG optic, you're paying an American to put it together. Now,
granted, you're paying an American company, right?
Yeah, and it's the same thing with HoloSun, right? Is you have all of these good dudes that work for HoloSun that are these just American, like you said, they respond to the consumer. Those are good people that get paid by HoloSun. It sucks where we're at with Chinese manufacturing in general. And the question is, what can we do about it as just normal citizens with no, political connections whatsoever? The only thing we can do is vote with our money. And also me, putting out a YouTube video, I'm like, hey, this is made in China and you may not know it. Obviously a lot of us in the space know it. It's common knowledge to us. But you think about the person going into a gun store, like, hey, I'd like to buy my first gun. I'd like to get a red dot for it. The person behind the counter is like, hey, yeah, HoloSun's the best out there. Get it. And he gets it. And if he would have known it was made in China, maybe he would have skipped it.
Yeah. And I think the other thing when it comes to this is it's more of, hey, I'm buying a HoloSun because, like you said, it has a good feature set. Like when I bought this, the only thing that existed was the P1, and the P1 was not interesting to me at all.
Nope.
Right. I didn't want to have to buy weird watch batteries and stuff. And I'm like, wait, HoloSun just released this 5 seconds later. And so I bought it. This is a very early old model. And it's held up just fine. Now, I know you know some people have had QC issues. I know people have had QC issues with HoloSun. And it seems like every company's having problems. And we've talked about that before. Like C&H Precision is now, like I have a bunch of C&H Precision plates. I never had a single problem. now it seems like everyone has problems with CNH Precision, and apparently the customer service is like terrible.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. So like I know people who basically like they like DM them or they comment like, hey, I had this issue, and they basically like say rude things to their customers. Supposedly is what I heard, and that people have had like plates cracking and stuff. I think it's Bunny Operator on YouTube. He's commented a couple times on my videos. I follow him, and he has like a video talking all about it, and that's how I kind of learned about it a bit. They've been having a lot of issues, CNH Precision, like post 2020, because all of my CNH Precision plates I bought when I bought this and and some 507Cs in 2020. So when these optics came out, so
I luckily have not had an issue with them, but that is disconcerting because when you buy that plate, everyone kind of knows that that's sort of a standard, you know what I mean? Everyone kind of goes, oh yeah, it's a standard. Like CNH Precision, they're the high quality standard for that way to mount your optic on your pistol. So make sure you get one from them because Glock MOS plates suck, which they do.
Yeah.
So you spend the $60 or $70 that it is, 54 to $65 or whatever it is on a plate, on a little piece of metal, but it's worth it because in your mind you're like, okay, but this is for an optic and I don't want to lose zero, and if it gets banged around,
it's gonna hold up.
Exactly. Wow, man, that is a real bummer, man. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had any bad experiences personally, right? And
I have. Okay. So CNH Precision, like you said, they used to be the best of the best. They blew up way too fast. They are now kind of beyond what they can handle, which is why they've gotten kind of snippy with customers because they were just like, I don't have time to deal with you, dude. Like, just suck it up. But I had the plate that I put on my P320 Spectre Comp to mount an RMR. I needed a filler plate for that. And the thing came too short. It wasn't cut properly, and I had to send it back, and I got the new one in. And when I mounted the new one, there was space, like it mounted tilted up like this. So I was like, well, this just isn't going to work. And then dealing with the customer service was less than stellar, not rude, but it was like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm never going to get another plate from them again. So.
Wow. That's really disappointing to hear. I hope they figure that out because again, you want to believe that some things are kind of holy. You know what I mean? Like you want to believe that, and I guess that goes way back into our SIG discussions because everyone wants to have some faith in that tool, but at the end of the day, again, this is another reminder that it's just a tool, and it will fail on you ultimately. I mean, I think Garantham's Mike's Glock 17 that he's had from forever and ever and ever. I think from Langdon actually did it for him. That's his. Who did it for
Langdon.
him?
They do a lot of stippling and stuff.
It was one of those. Off. I can't think of them.
Not Langdon. Yeah. It's I can't remember the name, but they do stippling and like laser stuff. Landers Weapon Systems. That's it.
Landers. All right. I knew it was with an L. So he had that Landers Glock, and that thing failed on him when he was doing the freeze test or whatever. And that's an extreme thing. But like I said, you want to believe that you can go through hell and back with a piece of equipment that's life saving, life taking. So, yeah, man. Oh God, is there nothing sacred? No, I guess that's ultimately like my pistol instructor, John Shrek McPhee, SOB Tactical. He has a phrase that he loves to use, and it's so true. And he says, "Sacred cows make the best hamburger." And because his whole concept is to like destroy everything that every pistol instructor. Like challenge every single thing that every pistol instructor has told you. If it holds up, it's good. If it doesn't, throw it away and work with something else, right? Like, so sacred cows make the best hamburger really should be the best logic applied to all your equipment. But when you're talking about guys, like we've been talking about like, will we use Chinese like optics and stuff? One place I don't like to use stuff like that is like in like nylon and gear and kit, like clothing, for the most part. Like I'm like a cry or die kind of guy when it comes to like battle dress stuff.
I'm a UF Pro shill, but
yeah, and like I got to tell you, that's one of those weird areas where, like, I'm not going to buy Condor gear. You know what I mean? I do like my Haley thorax, right? It's made in America. It's solid. I know it's not going anywhere. And like, I just, when it comes to kit, I can't even, I know UF Pros like solid and real operators use it and blah, blah, blah and all that. But I just can't get my head wrapped around that,
I mean,
like,
I just find them, like, as someone who used Cries for a long time, I was getting really tired of the way the knee pads worked and Cries sizing. And so someone got me onto UF Pros. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I ordered a pair. I'm like, this is so much better, more comfortable. They make more variety of pants. Sizing is like actual normal sizing, not like 32 regular. It's like 32 by 32, 32 by 30, whatever length you need. Way more features, way less Velcro, more zippers. I don't know how often you LARP, Brett, but
never.
For us professional LARPers, we put, we want to find the best clothing to wear. And hell, I have a pair of UF Pros that I will just wear every day because they just look like black pants, right? They're not like black cargo pants, right? They're nothing super operator looking. And they're great, especially for the range because they're more comfortable. But when it comes, this is my philosophy. I used to be like American everything, right? And I realized, no. And I'll tell you why. So I don't think we should go American everything and just be like, let's try not to buy from our enemies, right? I don't have a problem with buying. I think is UF Pro French? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what country they come from. Somewhere in Europe, right? Europe's not the best. I'm not a big Europe guy, right? But at the same time, if they make a better product, I'll buy it. Like Sweden makes that aim points, right? Or technically the Swiss used to make SIGs, like actual SIGs.
Right.
Glock is not. I mean, yes, a lot of them now are made in Georgia or whatever. But this is my number one gun is an Austrian company. So,
shill.
Number
one gun. You admitted it. We got him on tape.
Got him on tape.
Can we get an instant replay? He said number one gun. He said it.
Boys, we got him. But there's so many things. Like I love, there's ammo from other companies, right? That I like Fiocchi, I like S&B, I like, I like Blazer and Spear and stuff like that too. But there's good companies beyond in the United States. I will support a U.S. company if they make the best product or like level tier. But I have no problem buying an Austrian product, a Swiss product, a Swedish product, a German product, right? Maybe I want an HK, right? Whatever, right? You get an HK because you want the HK. You get the Glock because you want the Glock. You get the Taurus because you want something to stick in your bathroom. So each thing has its purpose. But like, think about it. I can't think of, when it comes to like handguns, I can't think of an American handgun manufacturer in the general budget range of like $400 to $800 where I'm like, I'd like to buy that, right? Yeah, there's Staccato,
M&P, Smith & Wesson, M&P.
I guess Smith & Wesson. I always forget they exist.
Yeah, no, same. It's just very forgettable, which is weird because it's actually good. So
yeah, like FN, I like FN. Walther, not American, but these are companies I don't mind supporting, right? If they make a product I like, because they're not our enemy, right? They are, and also a lot of times they have American divisions, just like Holosun. It's not just, I'm not just giving money to another country. Yes, that country may have its base in that country. Like I like Legos. Well, Lego's based in Denmark, but there's a lot of Lego stuff in the United States. So just because I buy a Lego doesn't mean I'm buying a Denmark product. Nothing against Denmark, but point being, I think there's this dichotomy. It's like all America or everything else is basically some China shill product, and it's like no, there's a difference between made by another country that may be based in that country but has U.S. employees and stuff, and then like a full-on Chinese product.
Right.
I mean, I think you're right. We have to find a balance in all of it. And I think the balance ultimately becomes what works, what is the best possible product in the category that will not break on you, that will operate the best, that gives you the most options for your needs, for your costs, so on and so forth, And for me, it's a variety of different things. I do like an EOTech on, for example, if I cannot have in my state a 10.5-inch barrel gun, but if I did have one, if I could, I would run an EOTech on it because I do find that from airsofting, right, that the reticle the way it works with your eyes, how it like nicely floats in front of you. I have one on like an airsoft MP5 right now. It really works well for short close-up encounters in particular, right? So fit, and even though I've crapped on EOTech in the sense that they're not pushing quote unquote the market the way that, let's say, HoloSun might be, it has its purposes, has its needs. I like function over fashion always. I really do. I'm really about like, well, first of all, does it work? So I bought an HK VP9, right? And I've had a lot of different guns, right? And get ready for some Glock shillery. But I got that HK VP9 and it worked great. It shot nice. It has really great ergos. And then I go to take it apart and I'm like seeing like wires and like, we're in weird things that I've never seen in the gun before. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll just do a basic, field strip and clean. And, I can't get into the nitty gritty if I ever wanted to, which makes me worried about like the ultimate reliability of this thing down the road. Like, does it fall in mud or something? Does it get crapped on? And then, and then how do I clean it out thoroughly? Right. So yeah. So like, that's the sort of stuff that really goes through my mind. Will it function well? And then when I went through that with the gun, I was like, you know what? I really just don't need this. It's just a Striker Fire competitor to a Glock that HK makes. And what's it going to do for me? Is it that much more accurate? No. I can't outshoot a Glock. So how can I outshoot the HK? Right. Is it that much, is it that much better in hand? No, it's really not. So I go with the gun that I'm going to be able to clean well and find parts for everywhere, and do any kind of upgrade, third party upgrade I want to. So all those things factor into me. Like I said, the only time I get skittish is about like nylon and helmets and ballistic things, like a ballistic helmet, plates, right? Like, I like Hesco plates. I'm not trying to buy some China made plates so I can die, like things like that. Super important. What do you got there?
So like this is like the Hardhead Veterans bump helmet or whatever. I'm pretty sure
it's a bump. That's why I'm not even worried about that.
But like the one thing that Hardhead Veterans makes that's actually interesting to me is their micro lattice thing, right?
That thing's amazing.
This shit is so comfortable. I don't wear helmets a whole lot, but when I do, this is amazing. Right?
Except on the forehead, dude.
You do look weird. I wear a balaclava most of the times when I'm wearing a helmet, so it doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, if you don't wear the headband it comes with for something, you are going to look kind of like you have some weird sort of like prayer marks on your head.
Yeah, I use my 4D pad up front, but in the winter it's too cold. Can't do it.
Yeah, so this thing's really nice. But even on this, I have this like made in China, ID light, right? Because I mainly wear this for like airsoft and shit. Because like it works. Like I'm not gonna go and buy the Unity one that's like $30 versus this was like $4, right? And that's the thing. And like we're all guilty of it. There's always a time where it's like, oh, I could go buy the one by this company, and it's like it's something so small and like useless, almost like this, like costs nothing. Yeah, I had to put Velcro tape on it, but like on another like $1. And it cost me like $5-6 versus the Unity one that's like $30 and is smaller and not as bright. So the Unity Spark or whatever it's called. So it's like I don't necessarily advocate to buy Chinese stuff, even though I do it. But it's hard to say, oh, yep, buy everything American because things cost money at the end of the day, right? It's not like I'm just voting. It's not like it's a social media post where I'm giving someone my support or I'm not. It's my money, right? And I don't know about you guys, but when we're talking to people who are going to be watching this, I don't have unlimited resources. I can't just be like, I'm going to buy the best of the best all the time.
Yeah.
If I want to buy a really nice gun or a nice piece of equipment, somewhere else that money has to there's a give and take, right? So
he held up a Glock and said it was nice. He held up a Glock and said that it was nice. He could have held up any other gun.
This human head.
You shill. Glock shill.
Anyways, point being,
I want to talk about how you hurt my feelings with the SIG video.
I want to get a nice trigger. Maybe I want to get a Johnny Glock's trigger.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Maybe then I have to get the $120 optic to make up for it. Yeah, that's a little bit exaggerative, but if you buy a couple China, a China thing here and a China thing there, then it's a lot easier to be like, well, I just saved $100 so I can buy a better thing for the thing that really matters, like your trigger or your optic or your gun. And this is the other issue that's out there as well, is the reason China stuff is also so cheap is our government does this and subsidizes it with the shipping from China, because it is incredible, because China is still set as a third world country according to the post office, and because it's a third world country, they pay nothing in shipping. That's why you can get something shipped from China on AliExpress and it comes in like 5 days. Meanwhile, you order from like a real reputable company and you wait 2 weeks and shipping's $30.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a lot of people do not know that, but yeah, our government subsidizes China. And there's a whole lot we can go to in the ties between the U.S. government and China. But the big thing is the post office subsidizes cheap Chinese products by making it super cheap to bring them into the country, and almost no taxes, tariffs, or import fees because of the way things are. So it makes more sense for like HoloSun. Why would I manufacture here? There could actually be more taxes and tariffs to manufacture in, let's say even a nicer country, right?
Yeah.
Or even the United States. They're going to pay more money just to the government versus if they do it in China. So It's not just, here in the U.S., we actually pay people real money. It's also in the U.S., there's so much regulation. There's so much crap from the government that makes it so incredibly expensive and irritating for companies to manufacture in the United States. Why not manufacture in communist China, where I don't have to buy my own facility and land? I can just rent it out or rent out a portion of these massive facilities that make stuff. So I'm saving money on that front, and I'm not getting taxed out the ass, and it's super easy to ship stuff here. So it's unfortunately, it's not just the companies. It is also our government. We have to think about it and that does come down to voting and stuff. So there's a whole lot that goes into it. But let's talk about something else that was brought up. And I know I get this question. I'm sure Brett gets this question. What should you do to your gun?
So
Depends on the gun.
like upgrades, modifications, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I always say grip texture is a must. Like, for example, this Glock 48, Glock 43X comes with like the smoothest, worst grip texture
the
ever.
Small Glocks have the worst.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Here's
it
the thing.
Exist.
Can you shoot it? Absolutely, yeah. You can just buy a Glock 48, Glock 43 and run it, and it's fine. But it can be better. Grip texture, super important in my opinion. Next up is going to be a sighting system. So get yourself either better irons or a red dot. And beyond that, a weapon light if you need it. And I think that's kind of like where I would recommend most people stop. But then, of course, I do stuff like put a better trigger in it, mag well, that kind of stuff. And I'll even like port guns, put comps on them. Just none of those are mandatory. They all help a little bit. They all add up a little bit. None of it's a substitute for skill or talent shooting. But it all adds up and it all makes a little bit of a difference. But those are the really important ones that I always think of.
I mean, my thing I always recommend is like a weapon light. Like if it gets a sight, it gets a light. That's kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
There's not a weapon light on this thing.
Yeah, I was like, it's like
nice,
there's
no weapon light on this gun though. Because if I'm not shooting a gun seriously, like right now, this gun. In fact, actually, I just got the slide back from you, so I wasn't even doing anything with this gun. So I put the light on a different gun. I'll probably put a light back on this thing soon. I want to maybe one of the new turbos from Surefire. But ultimately, the weapon light is a big upgrade. The other thing, I think that's really the only mandatory upgrade to me. That you like, it's like if you're going to do something in your gun, put a weapon light on it, right? Yeah. If it's for like this Glock, it has no sight, it has no backup sights because it's a competition gun. That's all it's used for, competition in the range. So, but anything for serious use, I think a weapon light, number one. Number two, upgrading your sighting system. Like I think the best iron sights, fiber optic front, blacked out rear, personally. Then obviously a red dot if you can afford it because they do cost a lot of money. And then better grip texture because most guns just don't have it. I like stippling, but stippling doesn't, like this gun was stippled like 3 years ago. The stippling just is super smooth now. Anywhere where I've gripped it, like on the front, there's so much dead skin build up here. It's just doesn't have that texture anymore. So like I have to grip this extra hard versus like this one that was stippled maybe a year ago now, where it's just I don't have to grip it as hard. So
I'm going to agree with you guys on all three of those takes. I think your irons or your optics, your weapon light, and your grip texture, 100%. Also, guys, don't think that you have to go out and stipple. I've had Talon grips before, but I've recently discovered their Pro texture, which is Brett's holding it up right there. It's just so good. Like I honestly like it better than any stippling that I've had done. And frankly, it's great because you don't have to get the gun stippled, send it out, spend that extra money, and all that sort of stuff. So that, and I want to say one other thing, actually. I think like adjusting the gun to fit your body is really important. So, for example, like I have really big hands. I put up a video in my shorts on YouTube recently of me shooting my Glock 45, and someone was like, "Yo, dude, I thought that was a Glock 43X or something," and I was like laughing because I have big hands. And yeah, the Glock 45 has a compact slide, but and a full size frame though, and I made it look really small. So one thing that I do now that is becoming kind of a standard for me on all my guns is the Cogworks slide release. What do you got there, Brett?
G48 and a G45.
Oh yeah, you're doing the comparison, right? Yep. Yeah. You can see there's a significant difference in the slimness, how tall they are, so on and so forth. So yeah, two very different guns, but I make the G43 look like this little bitty baby micro. So at any rate, for me, right, like I have a Cogworks slide release that I put on my guns now because I like to get a really high 10 grip, and that really high purchase. And with big hands, I was finding that I was getting like intermittent slide lock. So that even though the Cogworks slide release sits high, it's gonna scuff up my slide. I really don't give a shit. Obviously, I'll just glue it or whatever, until I feel like Cerakoting it one day. It just doesn't matter. Like, does it work and does it function? And yeah, now that I've added those, no issues with slide lock, especially on the micros. So, think about how your body fits the gun is what I would say. Also, I don't know, there are some folks with disabilities and stuff like that, right? Like, so there are considerations to be done there. Everyone's different. And one thing I really hate the shilling and the nonsense behind GBRS. If you hear the behind the scenes stuff, they really annoy me. But one really great thing that they did say in one of their videos that I've seen, is, we have people grab guns with their eyes closed, a variety of different pistols, and whichever one they land on that they say feels like a gun should feel to them is the proper quote unquote pistol in their hand. I think there's some truth to that. I wouldn't call it 100% true, because I believe there are certain baseline features that should fit your hand when you're choosing a pistol. You should never choose a pistol on style. You should never choose on that alone. Let's say on that alone, right?
I was like, shit.
No. On that alone, you should never. You have to listen. I mean, look, you could choose a pistol on style if you don't intend on saving your life or someone else's life with it. You may shoot that thing like crap, but you may just love like a Derringer, right? Like, cool. I want to have
Desert
a Derringer.
Eagle.
Yeah, a Desert Eagle, exactly. So, but what I'm saying is, it should absolutely fit your hand, and it should absolutely feel solid in your hand. So, that's just a consideration, and as far as upgrades for it, I consider that as well. Now, ergos are very important to me as well. So
I obviously missed. Or here, go ahead, Brett.
Just quick addendum to that. I do agree with you. Something that a lot of people don't realize is trigger reach is a thing. So, for example, this staccato, my finger like easily hits exactly where it needs to on the trigger, but my wife has tiny hands and she has to really reach, and because of that, she pushes the gun. So, like, if she gets a 2011 or a 1911, the first thing I would do is throw a shorter trigger shoe in there so that the trigger reach would better fit her. So that's just another part of gun fitment that I think is important, is looking at trigger reach. And do you have to reach for that trigger? And does your trigger finger naturally land where it should on the trigger?
And when an addendum to your addendum, when you don't have certain options, like on Glocks, you kind of don't have that option to put a shorter, trigger like you would on a 20 or a 1911. So you have to sort of learn the gun as well to adapt it to your body. So, for example, my grip on a 43X MOS or 43, which I have both of those, is completely different in terms of where I place like my finger on the 45. Like, I may crease it. I may put my finger in Masad Ayub's, power crease, that old line, from like 1986. You call it the power crease.
Yep.
I may crease it, or I may pad it depending on the gun, because the hinge point on my finger. I mean, I know that's getting into like the weeds on the technicality of it, but really it does matter because, as Brett said, you may be pushing or pulling the pistol, if like the old classic line, oh, my Glock shoots low and to the left, I'm like, no, you're just pushing
You
it.
shoot low and to the left.
Yeah, you're pushing it low and to the left because your finger placement. And oh, by the way, before this is a little side note, because we're talking about it topically. In the many dry fire repetitions I've done, right, and also on the range, but I'm in particular dry fire. When you're at home practicing and you really focus in on that, let's say red dot or your front sight post, right? Really pay attention to where that thing goes. That is one of your best indicators as to, do I need a tighter grip? Is the thing wobbling everywhere? Am I pushing it to the left? Should I change my finger position? Should I change my grip a little bit to accommodate and make a more stable shooting platform out of my hands? I just wanted to throw that in as a side note because, you can self-diagnose quite a bit if you do a lot of dry fire at home. I just want to throw that in. Sorry, guys.
And even at the range as well, like watch your sights, watch your dot, and it will tell you what you're doing wrong. But something I want to say when it comes to like the ergonomics and stuff, obviously I was grabbing something and I'll go into that in a second. But like I change all my mag releases on Gen 4s and 5s and even 3s to the Vickers mag release, right? I love that thing. It raises it just a bit, moves it a bit. Super easy to get to. Magwells, obviously, faster reloads, right? Magwells, I just threw something. Like even cheap ones, like just something that's going to make it easier. Like there's no reason ultimately not to have an advantage. And the thing is, and for me, eventually I want to put so much money, like this Glock, I've probably put the most money into of any Glock currently. Eventually, like you're looking like $2,000 of the Glock. And it's like, and I'm not saying that's bad if you do that, right? We're all guilty of putting a lot of money into our Glocks, but at the same time, it's very much diminishing returns. Like this compensator from Agency Arms, does it help? Yeah, but can I shoot a non-compensated Glock almost as well? I can. This stippling, I think it has some pretty good returns, especially longer range sessions. And this is the thing. When I look at something from a gun that I use at the range, I actually sometimes need more than a gun I use like defensively. Because if in reality, a defensive shoot, even if I shoot every round I'm carrying, I probably will not be shooting the gun so much to where I start having grip issues, right? Is it possible my hands will be wet, sweaty, bloody, oily, maybe I was having some fun in the bedroom and then, things go sideways. Who knows?
By yourself?
Sheesh.
With a consenting adult. All right. Anyways, point being, having something like this could be useful. But I think a lot of times, especially us as people who shoot so much, right? I probably shoot 2 to 3 times a month, right?
Yeah,
a lot
same.
of rounds. So, and I do a ton of dry fire too. So I'm feeling everything more. I'm wearing things down more. Like, I don't know if you guys discussed this. Like I said, I was gone for a minute about the Talon grips. I know Pete's had a great experience, but Brett has worn his down already quite a bit.
Yeah. And then you just replace them. Like you will have to replace those pros will wear down, within 6 months to
I went
a year.
Grabbed is this roll of skate tape I got on Amazon years ago.
Yeah.
It is still massive. Like I probably have like a good 12 feet left.
Yeah.
And I've been using this because when like a gun, like before I stippled this gun, I just put skate tape all over it. And like this gun that's wearing down right now, I just went in there and everywhere where like I really grip. So the back strap, the front strap, I'm going to put a piece right here. And then right here where like that accelerator cut is, now it locks in my hand again, right? And this shit is so cheap, skate tape. You can get it's basically like sandpaper. It's not too aggressive, and it's basically like a Talon grip or something.
Jessup is a very good skate tape brand that will work with your hands as well. Jessup grip, just a heads up, folks.
This is Gonex. It's a cheap. I don't know. I'm not a big skateboard guy.
That's fine.
Well, okay. What is that guy's name with the tape? You know my nickname for him.
Oh, Citizen Response.
Citizen Response. Yeah, so Citizen Response, I have not tried this yet, but he puts this weightlifting finger tape on his guns as a grip texture. I have not tried it yet. So he ran into the same problem where he was like wearing down stippling.
Yeah.
And then he was putting on Talon grips and then they were going bald. And then he started putting this, and this is now on all of his guns. And apparently it's super grippy and holds up really well. I have yet to try it, but this is Element 26 tape. This is what he uses. I hate the white lettering on there. So I also got another brand that made a cooler color in this OD green. What is this?
Cool.
Lyft LYFRX, if anyone wants to try this stuff.
So I'm going to say right now, I hadn't done this in a while, so I wanted to kind of do it again. So all I just think where like you can buy this, that other tape, whatever, super cheap, right? I think I got this whole roll for like $12. Back strap, front strap, side here where your support hand's pushing into, and if you want to put something in the front, even where the natural ledge of a Glock is, just right here, just put something there. And like that's basically what these kits are. And you can buy it if you're a little more OCD about it. I'm gonna be honest, I am, hence why I like stippling. But this shit is cheap as hell, and it gives me all the support I need. Like right now, this gun is not coming out of my hand, and it cost me nothing, some arts and crafts time, and that's it. So, don't think you gotta buy the really expensive Gucci stuff. Right. There's solutions outside of the gun world, right? Skate tape is a huge one. I know dudes who run skate tapes on their ARs, right? They put some skate tape on their AR grip on their handguard, and that's all they run. Right, it gives them some grip. In fact, I can't remember the company. What's the AR company that's new? The guy used to work at T-Rex Arms.
Super AR-15. The AR guy.
I can't. I'll remember, but essentially
Punisher ARs.
Assault Rifle 15.
You know what, dude? I think I'm gonna make that company. I want to call it Assault Rifle AR-15. And my first brand is going to be called the first model is going to be called Weapon of War.
Yep,
16
I like
inch.
it. Perfect.
So Ripcord Industries, their rails actually they sell basically skate tape pre-cut to go on their rails in different parts, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's all good stuff. And the other way to look at it too, for me, right? Like I love the pre-cut of the Talon, right? Like it's pretty easy to get them on. Like, yeah, it takes a little finagling and maybe you're going to spend 10 minutes doing it, but it the good news is you peel them right off when they wear, and for another $24 you get another set. And you know what, if you had to do that once, most shooters, if they shoot relatively decent amount, are going to have to do that once a year. If guys like you and me, we're probably gonna have to do that, once, twice, maybe.
Yeah, so I shoot 1 to 2 times a week, every week for the entire year. So for example, I've had these Talon Pros and these Handle It Edge grips, which is kind of the competitor to the Pros.
Okay.
For the same amount of time, and the Handle It Edge is still like new. However, the Pros felt better out of the box. Now the Edge feels better than the used Pros. And so I think that these Handle Edge is going to last for a very long time. But these Talon Pros, man, maybe a month it lasted me.
Really? Oh, that's actually interesting. Now I'm going to have to go to Handle It
and that's
site.
the thing is, even people think limit their shooting, but dry fire, right? I will wear out like this gun. I'm sure if I dry fire it every day for like 2 weeks, I'm gonna have to change the skate tape. Right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my wear and tear is not just shooting, it's dry firing, right? Like I have not this magwell is not, I mean, there's some, you can't see it as much, but like I have one magwell that I do get rid of because it was so beat up that I was starting to catch my shit. Like when it's more for actually shooting because metal mags, but you can beat the crap out of your magwells to the point where you will need to replace them, where you will wear things down. There's more wear components than just your stippling. So and dry fire will put more wear on your gun, right? Like I've broken things in dry fire. I broke my Glock 48. The striker broke in dry fire. My Glock 19, to be fair, it had a shit ton of rounds through it. The trigger spring broke in dry fire. So that is something a lot of people I don't think about. It's like, oh, well, I've only put 2,000 rounds through this gun. Okay, but how many times have you dry fired it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've probably dry fired my guns, 100,000 rounds equivalent, right?
Right.
Because I'm putting so many reps, like reloads, slide manipulations, trigger presses, all this stuff, so many times. So this is putting a lot more wear on your stuff than I think people think about. And it's like, oh, well, I only shot 2,000 rounds. Okay, you shot 2,000 rounds.
How many times did you dry fire?
How many times did you dry fire? And you should be. If you're breaking your guns because of dry fire, that means you're training, right?
Good for you.
The whole thing. It's like if you buy steel cased ammo and that means you have to change your barrels out faster, that's a good thing. That means you're training. So I think just something to think about. Did you guys talk about the Johnny Glock triggers at all?
Not yet.
Oh man,
Okay.
I was going to get to that. Wait, we're not going to jerk each other off yet, but hold on.
Okay.
Like I did want to say that there is like a level up from that base level of what we just discussed prior, where okay, you're changing your optic, you're throwing a light on, and you're changing the grip texture. And by the way, thanks Brett for the Handle It But I do want to say that I maybe influenced the influencer here, because now that I have done it, I put the Johnny Glock's triggers into two of my pistols, which is the G43X MOS. And the reason I did that first was because that's a very difficult little gun to get to shoot really quickly and accurately, I think, and especially from the draw stroke. So I decided that I wanted a really fine trigger that is a combat level trigger that's super reliable and safe, but super predictable, super smooth, short take up, crisp, clean wall, and a reset that pops your finger forward like a popcorn. And it's just like amazing, dude. And I said, all right, I'm going to spend $370 and buy the Evolution X Combat Vex trigger system. So I did that, and it really did help me out because, you know, whereas the gun felt a little jumpy from the trigger pull, even with an Apex trigger, now it just sits. It doesn't move. The dot does not move. So I had to do it for my G45, which is my all-time favorite EDC. But Brett, please go on ahead. Tell us what you did there.
Yeah. So, Pete, after I saw your post on Instagram, I was really unhappy with my Apex trigger that had been done up by Langdon, because it is just to give everyone an idea. So here's the take up. You hit the wall, and then it is rolling break, rolling break, rolling break, rolling break, rolling break, rolling break. The one thing that's good is the reset, but it still resets kind of far. So it pushes your finger forward, but it's kind of a far reset. And then I saw your post about Johnny Glocks, and I'm like, okay, well, I just got this G48, and the stock trigger is horrible. Like you said, the trigger breaks so hard that the whole gun moves.
Yes.
You're like holding it really hard, and then it just snaps, and it's like, geez, what is going on there?
Something in my Glock 48 video, some of my subs said, is one of my subs, I think two of them said it, or maybe not subs, but viewers, said that they took their Glock 48 apart and they found burrs inside, and then they polished them and it didn't do it anymore.
Yeah, Johnny Glocks does that for you, along with, I mean, and the thing is, it's the whole system, right? It's those things where I vouching for the Johnny Glock system with the striker upgrade, with the Vex trigger shoe, all of that. The trigger shoe also makes a big difference in all this. But Here is the take up. There's the wall. Press through the wall. That travels. And then we have the reset. Very positive and just absolutely instant.
So Brett, you're breaking up a little bit there. You're breaking up a little, but like I can just tell everybody, like it's an eighth of an inch take up or so, maybe a little more, like between a quarter and an eighth, something like that, but probably an eighth. He claims an eighth. I agree. And then it's a very, like he says, a predictable, clean, crisp break. It's probably the cleanest and smoothest and best trigger system. And again, yes, I will only vouch for if you don't like be a poor and just buy the entire $370 like trigger system, because if you pull his striker out, and it's all drop in, by the way, it takes 3 minutes to upgrade your whole thing. The striker is gleaming, shining, no burrs, no nothing. The safety plunger is another area where obviously the trigger bar is moving over the safety plunger first, and that's one of the most important areas where it needs to be smooth. That thing is like gleaming like a mirror, you know. And yes, if you run your stock lock trigger forever and put thousands and thousands of rounds, it'll ultimately get that way. You could also get and do a 25-cent trigger job on it, but you will not get an eighth of an inch take up. You will not get the predictable clean wall, and you will not get that Vex trigger, which is essentially a flat face trigger with curved edges. So it's like the best of both worlds. You don't feel any bite on your finger. It does have a little, it's hard to see on the webcam there, but it has a little bit of
the Overwatch precision where it has sharp angles on the side.
Right.
And
no sharp angles.
And also what I like, I haven't gotten one yet, I'm going to get one, is the kind of the curvature on the face itself, where it's not, because the problem with these completely flat triggers is, one, your finger can kind of slip when you're pulling the trigger, so you kind of go like that. Like something that the Timney doesn't do is it has a slight curvature to the tip of it, So you
Right.
don't get that slippage as much. You kind of get a retaining area for your finger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you're going to like the Overwatch Precision, which used to be like my benchmark trigger, I was like, this is the best. I've kind of been going away from these guys just because you get that slippage, right? So like I honestly, let me get a stock one. So like a stock Glock trigger, you have that, there's less chance of that slippage because you have a area for the finger to go. So, and ultimately like this Glock here is like the most I think you really need to do to a Glock.
Yeah.
Weapon light, grip texturing, optic. That's it.
Right.
There's nothing, there's suppressor height sights to go with the optic. Basically everything you buy, there's always a companion thing.
Right, because everything above this, that what you're saying is as like a base level is it's like a user preference. Like for example, you mentioned before the Tango Down Vickers mag release. I have them on. I have them on every one of my Glocks except for the 43, where I have shield mags, and because I like to rock the 9-round instead of 6 rounds. Thanks, Glock. So I like you need their metal mag release, and it does a great job. It's fine, but I do like the Vickers. I have my little preferences, and after you become a shooter who puts a lot of rounds down range, who trains a lot, who knows what they like, especially if you're like me and you're primarily on one shooting platform, which is Glock for me, and if it's SIG or if it's HK, whatever you prefer, it's all good, man. Like I like to be on that one platform because obviously, like, it serves me best. So, when you know all those things and you know what you want to do with, the little things that you want to do with those guns, the little teeny tiny tweaks. And Brett, thanks again for influencing me again, because I think like I'm gonna try out the handle it grips now for the. Once I wear through my pros, that'll be my next purchase.
Yeah, I dig them. It's I prefer the pros out of the box, but these definitely hold up better. They're it's a little, it feels kind of sharper. They use a bunch of little like rubber beads.
Right.
You can't really see it too well, but they use a bunch of like little rubber beads, and
for sure.
The Talon Pros hold up better when your hands are wet. These ones can get a little slippery when they're wet, but overall, so far my preference is towards these just because they hold up longer.
Nice. I wonder what they'll be like long term, because I definitely, this is the thing. It's like I'm getting this gun kind of redone. I'm gonna get the Johnny Glock's trigger. I'm probably gonna have the Agency, because the only company I've seen that is stippling that lasts is Agency Arms. Their armor stipple package. I have seen guns that have had that for like years, and like people who actually shoot them consistently, and it seems to last like forever. So you get what you pay for. I know Terran Tactical warranties they're stippling.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. I like warranties. Warranties are nice, but I'd rather never have to send something in. I want to do all the maintenance in-house, right? I can change out every part on this Glock, right? And then once again, we're shilling for Glock here, sucking Gaston's dong. But,
whatever.
But I'll get off of the shill train next once you're done.
Okay, but what I love about this is I can do all my maintenance myself, right? Whether you're a Glock armor or not, I know Glock wants you to be an armor to do stuff to their gun. Liability. Or you can have a local Glock armor, but even then you don't have to go. It's pretty easy to do it yourself though, right? You don't have to necessarily take the armor's course, although technically whatever. Anyways, you can do this very easily. I can change every spring, every part in here. The only thing that's annoying is the channel liner, which I don't know if you ever really need to change that anyways. And if I want this thing retextured, I basically have to do this, right? I'm putting skate tape on here now because this texture's gotten so smooth. And even the handle, I wonder how they'll hold up, because I don't like have to re-stipple and re-get things done and all this stuff. And it's like, now my nice aggressive gun is smoother than the OG Glock, right? So you get the nice aggressiveness, and now it's gone away. So, and then you can go Agency Arms. I'm spending $500 on stippling. It's like, it's a heck of a lot of money. And you use your gun defensively. Any of these guns I have that I've really kitted out, I don't carry them. One, because like, okay, this is kind of big, and this, I just don't carry this gun. Because it's not really what I carry. I normally carry a 19, but also there is that level of trepidation because, okay, if I use this defensively, right, how much of an advantage did I really gain from all these expensive features I paid for? And now I can't just buy this tomorrow, right? Yeah. If I want to go out and buy this tomorrow, there's a couple things like the stippling. I can't just buy the stippling tomorrow. I'd have to find like the person who did the stippling, NAF Solutions. They currently don't do stippling anymore. They're like a training company now. So I got to go to someone else to get stippling, maybe Agency Arms, maybe Terran, whatever. Some of the other stuff in here, I can't just buy it. It might not be in stock, all these things.
And it's a pain in the ass,
and then I have to assemble everything. I have to do all that stuff. I can't just buy this gun, right? Now, the one advantage to something like, I know Brett carries like a staccato, right? He can go out and buy a new staccato the next day because if he uses it, it's the same gun, right? So there is an advantage. Yeah, the staccato is expensive, but how much was that gun, Brett? Without the optic and the light.
Minus the optic and the light?
Yeah.
Like $4,300.
Okay.
Whew.
So
he's not poor.
No, this is their flagship though. Like you can get they make them for like $2,000.
Do you have the other staccato or just that one?
Just this one now. But
okay.
I'll be getting
because you had like the C2.
I had the C2 and then I ended up selling it, yeah.
And that's like 2,500, right?
Yeah, ish. Yeah, like 2,300.
So this is the thing. About the price of this, right? All said and done. Like if you do the Sage Dynamics build package from Agency Arms, which is kind of what I mirrored, you're looking at around $2,500, I think, for the top tier package.
Yep.
So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to spend all this money, all this stuff, and then you're like, oh, well, if I use this tomorrow, I can never see it again, probably. And it's not even losing the money. I don't mind spending $2,500 to live. I think that's a good deal, right?
Yep.
Even $4,300, right? I have some rifles that are very expensive that I would use if I use it defensively. Yeah, I may never see it again, but I also get to see the next day.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, if it's some custom bullshit, not saying custom things are bullshit, but if it's some custom thing, I now have to wait the lead times, the shipping delay, all this stuff. I can't just go out and buy the gun from the store tomorrow. So I'll get off my pedestal.
Find another Radiant Ramjet afterburner. Jesus.
I know. Those things are super hard to find.
Unobtainium. Complete unobtainium.
Right? Or an EPS carry even. Like even optics.
Yeah. Right? EPS carries are impossible.
Like this 17, other than the stippling, I could just buy another 17 tomorrow, or now the 47 MOS is they don't make the 17 MOS anymore. But I could buy that, buy a Holosun 507, buy a Surefire X300, which is in stock everywhere, and I have the exact same gun tomorrow. So if I use this in a defensive shooting, whatever, right? Versus I use this 34 in a defensive shooting, or I use this 19X thing in a defensive shooting.
Langdon Tactical.
Langdon Tactical, right?
Get on the wait list.
You have to get on the wait list again. And so and I'm not saying don't use your good guns to save your life, but simply when you have these things, there isn't a level of inconvenience that's created when you're now no longer have access to your super Gucci gun and you've got to wait for it to be in stock or for the lead times or whatever. So there is that disadvantage.
I could rebuild my my G45 in its current my happiest place ever gun within like a week, between buying the gun and getting all the parts in and then rebuilding it. Like that's my carry, that's what I'm going to be carrying every single day. So like for me, no problem there. Like it's upgraded to that point without having had sent it out for stippling. And, I'm debating the whole stippling thing now, having had stippled guns myself, which I've done a pretty good job with, or having sent out. I did on Midas's recommendation send my 43, which I'm thrilled that I got it in last minute before they stopped doing that, to NAF when they were doing that. And boy, it was like so dope. Like it did a really good job, but I'm like debating it. Like now I'm like, with the grip that you just sent, the handlets or the talons, whatever, dude. And by the way, you could buy talon grips by the sheet, by the way. And they're a little cheaper. Cut yourself a stencil. Just a little inside trick. Cut yourself a stencil off of one of those talons that you buy, and then boom, you just cut your own talon grips from now on.
Now,
so
I do want to say, huge pro for steel frame or metal frame. This is aluminum frame. Metal frame guns like this Beretta is you get checkering that lasts forever, front strap and back strap. And then I put on these extremely aggressive textured brass grips from Lock Grips. That this is like the most aggressive texturing I've ever felt in my entire life. And it's brass, it lasts forever. And even if you don't want to add weight to your gun, they make aluminum grips, or even better, G10s that are so sharp that they don't move, and those last forever. So,
and even if something plastic even if they wear down somehow, you can replace them.
Yeah, and just replacing a grip panel. So.
Have you guys ever held the new metal MMP?
Yeah.
Oh man, that grip texture is that I thought really was the most aggressive thing I've ever held.
It's like
polymer parts, isn't it? Where that grip texture is.
I don't think so.
But it's something. It's like a tape or something.
I don't know, because it felt like metal to me, and it was ripping my hand up at the gun shop when I was working that day. Like I was like, we had just gotten them in, and I was like, oh my god, this thing's unbelievable, dude. Like it felt locked
it's like a
in.
grip module or something like put into it.
I don't know. Take a look. Do a web check. But yeah, like these are all extras, and I guess like I don't know. For me at this point, like I'm a choosy shooter snob. Sure, I could shoot a Glock damn near stock and it'll be fine. But you know, why would I when I have the options? Just like Pav said prior, there it is. The metal Smith and Wesson. Maybe it is polymer because it is a different color. It looks
like a polymer. Like when I've only felt one, and like
they have that gunmetal color, so it could be just that they're doing a two-tone almost in the grip.
I don't know. That doesn't look like. I mean, maybe you could cut metal like that, but that's pretty intricate. For metal, I would think like that's a very intricate. Like that looks like a polymer.
Either way, it would be really easy to replace those grip panels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think.
But my biggest problem is it doesn't go high enough up, right? Like the smooth part where the dimple is in the frame.
This part of the hand,
exactly, which is so critical. And that's another thing I love about the handle grips, by the way, is you get way better coverage.
Than
the talons. Like.
Yeah,
look at how much higher it goes up.
Is where that nice meat part of your hand wants to go and control that recoil. And if that spot's smooth, like on a stock Glock, it's all smooth. You don't get that that aggressive texturing. So
yeah, man. I mean, so for anyone who's listening, you know, if you want to upgrade your guns, I would say that those three bases that you boys laid out are good for any gun besides a Glock: light, optic, and grip texture. And luckily Talon or Handle It has plenty of grip textures that you could. And what's great is I don't know if I want to stipple my gun. I do want to stipple my gun, you know, and like for some people, you know, it may be like gross to use skateboard tape because like, oh, you know, you're just throwing swatches onto your nice new shiny new toy and you don't want it to look funky.
Like you said, you can cut the stencil.
Right, so. Exactly. So you can just
get a real gun, not
get a real man gun.
You get a real gun, you're set for life. You don't have to worry about that at all.
Real man carries metal guns.
Let's go back to look at how far we've come, though. Think about this, guys. A few years back, some futtery would have come up in your post in a second that said, well, you put all that stuff on your gun. Number one, you're asking for a lawsuit. Number two, it's going to fail on you when you need it most. Keep it simple, stupid. Glock made something that works. Smith, all right, let me stop using Glock. Smith & Wesson made something that works. Use it. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
John Moses Browning made the only gun I'll ever need.
Wait, who said, who said in one of your posts something crazy about like, upgrading your guns? Like I think it was you recently on your Midas on your SIG, some SIG shill said some crazy, like I don't know. If you guys want to be entertained by like the craziest like SIG maniacs, go to any one of Pav's videos on his SIG macro. Holy crap, the futtery going on in those posts, I've never seen anything like it in my entire life, dude. The absolute worst. SIG's
just the best. Sorry. Sorry that you can't deal with the fact that they made the best gun on the planet.
They sure did, didn't they?
The
Midas
best gun known to man.
Midas, what do you like? You have to remind me. Someone said something about like, I don't know, if you're fooling around with your gun this much, you can't shoot it, or it'll go down on you, or you'll be locked up in jail forever and ever because you had intent to murder everybody.
No, so I know there's one where someone said if you prep your trigger to the wall, they'll get you thrown in jail. I love that one. So it's like,
what?
Yes. So I did a video, and I did a deeper explanation video because a YouTube short, you can only put in so much information, which is why I hate them.
Right.
But the algorithm loves them.
Yep.
I was saying like, hey, when you shoot, if you're coming out from the draw, as soon as you're starting to point towards your target, prep to the wall. So when you have your full grip and get your sights, you can instantly press the trigger, right? Basic logical stuff. And they were saying, well, if you show you were prepping the trigger, that means you had the intent to shoot someone. So you're going to get thrown in prison. I'm like, what? You mean when I shot someone, I didn't have the intent to shoot them, but because I prepped the trigger, that means I meant to shoot. Like It's
See,
those sorts of things.
Your problem
say.
is that you carry a gun where you have to prep the trigger. That's your problem. If you just carried a gun where you didn't have to prep the trigger, then you could just shoot it normally. So
yes. Clearly, that man carries an Atlas Athena with the 2-pound trigger mode.
Holy crap!
Those guys.
By the way, the grip texturing is polymer. You're correct on the Smith & Wesson, but boy, is it aggressive, man.
Well, even the standard M&P 2.0s have really aggressive grip texturing.
They're good.
I will say, the only gun out of the box that I have shot, right, and really messed with, I've never shot an M&P 2.0. I've just dry fired them. The FN 509 has plastic checkering, but it is so aggressive. Their grip texture is so aggressive. I've known people who've owned them forever, never stippled them, and the grip holds up. So I gotta say, honestly, an out of the box. If I was not a Glock shill, if I was not on Gaston's lap right now, I probably would go to FN as my go-to guns,
or actually on his wife's booty.
Oh God, yeah, you could sit on that thing. Anyways, but no, the FN 509 series is very impressive. I don't mind their hinge trigger, but now they have their flat face trigger. I like their optic system. It's probably the best optic system out of the gate on a stock gun, like that isn't like a high-end gun. Their magazines aren't overpriced. They shoot really nice. Their controls are really nice. Like there's nothing on a 509 I want to change other than an optic and a light.
See, I'm curious about the CC Edge, the little comped.
I kind of want to get one.
So here's where I'm at. I was 100% on board, especially since Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, had helped them with the compensator design on that. And then I saw Tim Kennedy shoot it, and I don't know if he is just really weak.
Turned you off to the.
I don't know if he's just really weak, which I would hope that he's not. Or that compensator
really bad if you see him shoot.
Yeah, or the comp just doesn't. I mean, probably poor technique, right? So either he has poor technique, or that compensator doesn't do as much as I would want it to, because it looked like that thing was like 40 Smith & Wesson, like rocking in his head, shooting 10 mil, just like, and I was like,
oh man,
kind of turned me off. So I'm curious, but it's like what, $800 or something like that.
Well, what's interesting about it is it takes standard 509 mag, so it's kind of like a Glock 26, but it's thinner because they take metal magazines. It's pretty interesting. Like I said, I have been doing a lot of research into the what would I want if not a Glock sort of thing. The Beretta APX A1 is actually a pretty high contender on my list, and this is a video I've been working on for a while and probably won't come out for a while because I'm trying to assess every gun that exists in the Glock that is similar, like the polymer framed metal slide striker fired gun, right? Every other striker fired gun I'm trying to assess. Some of them I literally shot like 5 rounds and like, okay, I'm not even gonna waste time on a video of this because it's a piece of crap. But some of them, like, you know what, this is actually a nice gun. And the 509 for me is really near the top, just because of it's literally everything I want. Even the Beretta, there's things I would change on it. The 509, it's like, I know now I'm an FN shill, but no one's gone after someone for that yet, so I think I'll be okay. But I think the 509, honestly, if someone was saying I'm going to buy a new gun, and there's plenty of reasons to go Glock, don't get me wrong. And I think at the end of the day, I prefer Glock. But if for some reason someone doesn't want a Glock, I think the FN 509 would probably be my second pick.
I think I just figured out what my next, because we were just talking about it. Like, I think I figured out what my next pistol is going to be. And I used to own a Smith & Wesson M&P, and I had like the VTAC series one with the fiber optics and everything. And, it was a great little gun. What pissed me off about it was when I would slam my mag home, it would send the gun into battery. The slide, for those who don't know what that means, the slide would just go full send when I would slam the mag home, and that drove me insane. I did not like that. Like, I want to be in control of when I send the mag home.
You want to control the gun?
Yeah, I'm in control. So anyway, but now that the M&P 2.0 is out, I'm looking at them like, because I went on to their site while we were talking about see if the grip is polymer or not. Now I'm like, I kind of. They've been out for a while. I've been ignoring them. Maybe I will get one, but it has to be optics ready. So what's the one that is optics ready? What do they call that?
Well, the metal, I think, are
core.
I would honestly, personally, if I was gonna get one, I'd probably get the metal one at this point, just to try it and get that that metal module thing.
I'm gonna carry it, so I'm not trying to carry a metal gun all day long.
So I had an M&P 2.0 that unfortunately was a lemon. The barrel just didn't. I literally benched it, and it could not group. And it was like, yeah, it was the ported barrel performance center model. But anyways, I apexed it. Triggers amazing.
Yeah, it's so bad now.
But it was a total lemon. Like I promise, they're normally good.
Right.
But as far as the slide release or the slide stop goes, on the Gen 1s, you hit it and it would trip it up. On these ones, they went like too far in the other direction, at least the one that I had, where I had to get 2 thumbs on it. So I was shooting the 3.7s drill, tier 1 concealed, where you have to reload from slide lock. And I'm like, pop, pop, pop. Yeah,
they're so hard. Like people said the macro is hard out of the box. I don't really have any issues. Like my thumb is fairly strong, I guess. I don't know. Like,
is it worse than a P10C? Because I think the P10C is
the P10C is bad out of the box, but you shoot enough rounds through it, and it's okay.
Okay,
the
I hated that.
Like the M&Ps. Do you still have yours? Or did you get rid of it?
It's gone.
No, I was asking Pete because Pete had.
Oh no, I got rid of it a while back. Yeah.
I used to be a big CZ guy, and I was gonna go with the P10C until I got a Gen 3 Glock. I'm like, this works. Why would I get the Glock clone when the Glock works? Anyways, Glock shill. But no, I really enjoy guns that work. And I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Oh yes, I don't mind the slide dropping thing, to be honest, because like it Glocks,
takes the step out for you.
Yeah, it makes it faster. And some guns so the way I drop the slide release, I only have this giant mag. This is the only one close to me. When I do it,
Free State guy.
Yeah, well, I guess you're demonetized on this video. So
this video, these always get demonetized.
But the capacity is 29 rounds. So
I think this holds actually no rounds. Actually, there's no rounds in it, so it doesn't hold anything.
Fair.
So the YouTube, this actually holds no rounds. This is a fake magazine for fake guns, not a real magazine. Anyways, so when I insert it in, I prep my thumb here, so just the motion of me smashing it in. Now, there's no dummy rounds or anything in it, so it won't drop. But normally, the motion of me just smashing it in would drop the slide release. But on guns, sometimes I'll literally put the mag in, do nothing, and it'll just drop the slide release on a Glock or something. Just because either like the mag's so worn out or the gun's so worn out or like just the force, the energy, all the stuff going together. Especially on the older Glocks that had the different slide release system. The new ones, the Gen 5s, not as much.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I get where you're coming from, Pete, but to be honest, I'm like, I mean, it helps. Much better than which is like my experience when I just dry fired an M&P.
I would much rather, yes, that I slam the mag home and it whatever. But like, can it just be fucking normal? Like, how about like, can it just be normal? Like, I can actuate the Glock slide release and the stock one. I mean, the really flat one that like barely, you know what I mean? It's like so tiny. I can actuate that thing, and it's not like the worst. It's not the best. That's why I always upgrade that particular part to my liking, as we've been discussing this whole time. So it's like, yeah, dude, like. Why can't they just be normal? Why can't the M&P now just be normal?
It's like that meme with like the kid screaming in the backseat. Why can't you be normal?
Exactly. But you know what, dude? That's it. I think that's my next gun for sure. I've made the decision. I'm looking at it now. I'm going to get an FDE. It has to be flat dark earth because I have no flat dark earth guns. And it has to be an FDE Smith & Wesson 2.0, MP 2.0 because, I want to buy something American. Because it's made in one of, by the way, the most least American states in the entire country, Massachusetts. Very, very, very leftist. But
hey, Mitt Romney, he's a Republican.
Oh, sorry, I just vomited into my own lap. But yeah, like I'm gonna probably go get myself an M&P 2.0 because they did a good job ripping Glock off, and I feel like they'll be a solid gun. And by the way,
the hinge triggers though, so look for the ones that have the flat face triggers now.
I'm looking at
just Apex it.
Yeah, I'll Apex it. I'll
does
just
Johnny
build
Glocks do anything but Glocks or no?
No, I think just Glock. But I can tell you for a fact that the M&P Apex totally different from the Glock Apex.
Really,
it is like oh my god, it is night and day.
I heard it's good.
It was one of the reasons I was so disappointed in the Apex trigger for a Glock because I had an M&P with an Apex and I'm like, what is this garbage? Like, that's how good it is. So
because Langdon did it. If you got a standard Apex, it'd be better. Your experience is incorrect, and you shouldn't be sharing your individual singular experience. You look at everyone's videos and all the shills, and since all the shills like it, you're wrong. I got this YouTube comment. And we were talking about it in the pre-show. This guy, let me see if I can find it.
Tell him what it was, man. It's redonkulous.
Well, I'm just gonna read it. So And this is the thing. I kind of get where he's coming from, but also like the search bar exists. So as a YouTuber, it is not responsible to make recommendations based solely on your personal experience. It is important to consider a broader range of experiences and perspectives before advising others on whether to do something or not. For example, if you've had issues with a particular brand of firearms, it is important to acknowledge that your experience may not be representative of everyone else's experience with that brand. It would be more responsible to research and consider a large sample size of experiences before making any recommendations. Two things. One, when I read that, I feel like I'm reading some like corporate leftist like statement that was put out
100%.
about like shared experiences or some bullshit and like gender whatever.
Yes.
And two, bro, I'm not the only YouTuber out there. You can watch these other people's videos and see their experiences. I'm not a research scientist. I just make videos on the internet, right? And then I just got this one comment from this guy. It says, I've only been shooting federal since I stumbled across Hickok 45 in 2000 BC.
I think that's a troll. That's an awesome troll.
Obviously, this guy's being funny. And I love things like that. But some people, it's like, I don't know if they're just like, I don't know if they're dumb. I don't know if they have like some sort of like low functioning or high functioning autism where they take everything literally. But it's like, guy, I'm one dude. I'm not gonna do a research paper on everyone's experience with the SIG macro.
But you're not salaried.
Yeah.
It's not like you're making. It's not like he's paying you. It's not like it'd be one thing if he was a patron, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you know what? I appreciate.
Yeah. I have a Utreon. I don't really use it yet. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
It's just sort of a backup, kind of like my Rumble, which I don't really do a whole lot with. It copies my videos from YouTube. But I'm not against anyone who has a Patreon. Like I know Brett has a Patreon. But from what I like, Brett more is your Patreon is just people who want to support you.
Yeah, exactly.
This stuff is not cheap or free.
Yeah,
you're buying equipment half the time to review it.
Like I would say Brett does this more professionally than I do. I am far more of a hobbyist in terms of making videos than either Pete or Brett, to be honest. Pete was far more professional about it in the past. I'm sure he'll get there again.
I'm weeks away, you guys, from like dropping hella videos on everybody. I just want to make sure legally like everything is set for me, and then I'll be making like a lot of great review videos on that I can actually show you guys, because I live in a crappy state, and even though I have everything I have is legal, which is a 100% fact, I just want to make sure that like my CCW is in order, which, it's coming through in the next couple of weeks. And then wham, bam, I'll be able to go like, this is the gun I carry every day because I can legally carry it every day. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just being like, yeah, this is the gun I carry every day right now. And then someone goes, wait a minute. Does this guy have his CCW yet? Like, I just don't. This guy carries
a gun.
From your accent, people are going to figure out that you're from Hawaii. Like they know.
Clearly.
It is so hard. I've told everyone.
I've told everyone that listen, dude, it was harder in New York, I think. No, and like Hawaii, where I'm from,
you get a permit, it lasts like a month.
What?
Yeah, like right. I don't remember all the details, but you have to like renew. It is insane.
But in New York, you couldn't even get a permit, and if you did, you could only get a permit, dude, if you were like juiced in. So meaning you were an ex-cop, or I don't want to say that I know somebody, but let's just say somebody I've heard was a firefighter, and then he got his carry permit because the chief called it in down to one police plaza, or. As another example, I work in the entertainment industry. Well, I work in the entertainment industry, and every major, let's say, Fox News host, right, that I know of, many of them, people that you watch on TV have carry permits, then they carry every single day.
Sean Hannity is an expert marksman. That's what he always says, and it cracks me up. He's like, I'm a trained expert marksman. I'm like, what does that mean?
Whatever that means.
Like, you see him shoot like a USPSA match, and he qualifies like Grandmaster or something.
It's like okay,
he actually can outshoot like Taron Butler and shit.
Like, what are his freaking quals? But
his splits are like 0.05.
Dude, it's what really cracks me up. I'm not gonna blow her spot up, but there's this one very saucy battle axe of a woman who works on that network who has a concealed carry permit, and it's like, you know, she was in the back of my truck once, like because we were going from location to location.
Whoa.
and shooting stuff with the producer in the back, and we were driving around.
I mean,
and
that's normally how they film those sorts.
And
of
I was
videos.
whining about not being able to get my carry permit back then before we became a shall issue state. And she was like, well, you know, I find that totally sucks because I have one. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I have my gun on me right now. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And she, like, in her little clutch purse next to her Virginia Slims, she's got like a little 380, you know, with like 5-shot 380 or some ridiculous gun.
Yeah, and 20 minutes ago she was talking about the elite class and how it's horrible.
Right. It drives me crazy. But, you know, don't ever think, to anyone who's listening, don't ever think that the elite will not take advantage of their position. You know, there is an elite class who will take it. You know, they'll do whatever they like. For example, New York, we had like 500,000 people leave here in the last 10 years because they were upwardly mobile enough to, or super poor where they just couldn't even afford this whole hellhole anymore. You know, so dude, yeah, they'll do whatever they can. But anyway, point is, I'm going to drop hell of videos. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I've been conceptualizing a lot, and I just want to do everything on the up and up because I don't need anyone fucking looking into my life.
Well, and this is the thing for me is I like I said, I just do this as a hobby, right? I don't think I'll ever do this professionally. That doesn't mean I'm not professional about what I do. But I don't, you know, even though this is the channel that we host our show on, I just do this for fun, right?
Right.
The fact that I have so many subs is almost dumb to me, like in a good way. But I'm like, why? I don't know why almost 5,000 people subscribe to me, but I appreciate it. I don't know why one of my videos almost has 500,000 views, but I appreciate it like a lot. Like it's insane to me. But I just do this for fun. I share my experiences and stuff like that. And so I think a lot of people expect if you put videos on YouTube, like you're like super professional, like top tier, like operator man, and you're gonna like, it's like, no, I'm just whoever I am, right? I'm this lowly citizen who's just putting some videos out on the internet to share their experiences.
And if you disclose that, that's really cool. You know what I mean? Like,
it's
like,
the thing.
It's when you try to be what you're not, that's when you get caught out there.
Yeah, and this is, and like everyone asks me, what's your experience or something? I've gotten those questions, and I literally just put my description as thinker, educator, shooter. That's all I am. I think about things, I educate people on things, I shoot things. That's it.
I want to create a community. I want to create a community around this, and like I think
the American Oath Initiative.
I think that's super important to let people know, hey, I'm just like you. I like these fun things. Yeah, they're dangerous. I like them. They're fun. I like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I like martial arts. I like
Brazilian.
Sorry. I like rucking. I like doing go-ruck events. I like, you know what I mean? Like I want to tell people you're not like weird for liking this stuff. And also, by the way,
you are weird for living in your mom's basement.
I want to bring other people in to the community that I'm building, right? Like new people and saying, oh, this is really cool. Like, my friend got into Go-Ruck. He is a bleeding heart, liberal, lefty, and I love him to death, but that's what he is. And he got into Go-Ruck as a like physical, mental challenge thing. And he got me into it. And he just like, I was kind of apolitical basically at that point. And then I did a few Go-Rucks and like whatever, like or a bunch of training events and then one Go-Ruck event. And then like the Green Beret who ran my event, I'm still good friends with him. He like turned me into like freaking America. Fuck yeah. Like I went nuts.
Now we definitely are demonetized.
So like, you know, that can happen. Like, I became much more aware of my rights as an American, like the civics as an American, all from that, just like being a pro-American, understanding what it means. Right. Like, I'd love that. I want that. I want to give people a taste of that too on the channel, right? Like, and bring new people in who will see this exciting gun shooting, and they go and they hear me go, "Yeah, I'm pro 2A. I'm not pro gun." And people go, "What?" Yeah. And then you explain that to them, like, "Yeah, okay, I love guns, but if I had to choose one, I'm going to be pro Second Amendment." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think like Maj Toure said it the best in a debate with an anti-gunner. He was like, "Listen, I'm not a gun guy. I'm a freedom guy." Nice. And I'm like when he said that, it resonated with me. He's like, listen,
chills.
It's like when it boils down to it, I'm a freedom guy. And it just so happens that guns are a part of that. And I was like, yeah, man, preach.
Yep.
No, I think ultimately, and I don't blame these elites for like using those things to their advantage. Like if I lived in some hellhole where I could not get a firearm, but I maybe knew a guy who knew a guy and I could get a gun, I'd fucking do it, right? Like, now would I maybe try and get it for other people too? Maybe, right? But ultimately, it's, and this example is used a lot nowadays. It's like when you're in an airplane, and I'm stealing this from other people who use this. When you're in an airplane and there's an issue, turbulence, whatever, and they drop the masks, right? They always say, put it on yourself first before putting it on someone else. So you can't say a message. You can't do anything in life if you're dead. So ultimately, you still have to worry about yourself. Don't sacrifice yourself to the point where you're not like obviously there are causes to sacrifice yourself for, but I think I don't want to be shitting too hard on people for using advantage of that. Now, the people that kind of like fearmonger with stuff and, almost push for a lot of these gun lobby things to like rights to be restricted, like the NRA, who actually pushed for the bump stock ban to then fearmonger and get people to sign up and give them money, that's different. But if you're just someone who has the connections and you can get yourself a gun and a carry permit, do it. There's no reason not to. You should be protecting yourself. And maybe you can't get a permit. Maybe you got to look into some other options that we won't be discussing here on YouTube. But ultimately, you got to do what's best for yourself. And whether it's what mods you do to your gun, right? Now, something we didn't talk about is the legal aspect of that. And I think it boils down to this. Could you defend legally what you did to your gun? Is there a purpose, right? We didn't talk about Punisher skulls and all that shit because it's dumb. It's stupid. Do not put Punisher skulls. Do not put Smile for the Flash, like barrel crap. None of that. All of that is the dumbest things I've ever seen. Not only is it dumb, like just literally dumb, but it also will possibly get you hemmed up in court. If you have a bad shoot, if you have something questionable, if there's a civil suit, that, while I'm not a lawyer, that is what could most 100% get you in the ass because you had something on your gun saying, "Oh, I want to kill people" or something.
Right.
That is when you could get
unless you're
up.
a cop and you have like send it and get fucked on it, and you shoot someone after doing the Macarena in a hallway, then it's
Oh
fine.
my God.
But
While
if you're
they're
a civilian,
intoxicated and clearly can't do anything about it.
yeah,
Yeah. While you're calling them out because they were using like a blow dryer or something.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's that's a whole other incident. But point is, don't put those things on your gun, right? Put everything. And I think there's a video that Sage Dynamics did on this, says it the best. Just if you can justify everything you do, like I put this trigger. Now, I wouldn't use the Timmy trigger for duty or carry, to be fair. I wouldn't never recommend it for that. At least the basic variation. But let's say this Overwatch precision trigger. I'd have no problem carrying an Overwatch precision trigger. I've carried them tons of times. If I was asked about it, okay, well, I use this trigger because it allows me to interface better with the firearm to get better, more accurate, precise shots on target and better control of when the firearm's going off, right? Or the stippling, right? Why would you modify the gun, make it more textured? So I could retain control of the firearm for safety, right? To control the firearm better. Why this compensator, right? Does that mean you want to shoot more bullets at people? No, it means if I have to shoot multiple bullets at people, I want there to be able to shoot more quickly and more accurately and save lives, right? The red dot, well, I can target focus so I can get more accurate shots. Every single modification on your gun, there should be a reason behind it. It shouldn't be like, well, I saw this guy on YouTube does it, so I'm going to do it. I hate that so much. And I hate when people tell me, oh, I'm going to do something because you do it. And actually, Brett and I were talking about this, I think yesterday, where someone did something just because Brett does it. If Brett, you want to talk about that, the way you carry things, and I'll let you talk about that.
What? Remind me.
That you carry a full-size staccato.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. So
200.
yeah, so it was the G45 with the X300.
Okay.
Where somebody commented, and it's like, this guy comments on a lot of my videos. He's one of my shorts viewers. I love him. He's awesome. And he was like, dude, I carry with a TLR7 A, and I love that you carry with an X300. Is it hard to do? And I basically said, well, I mean, I do it. It's doable, but it's like a do as I say, not as I do. And I don't really recommend it because I have a very high tolerance for discomfort, I've learned. Like there are people on the Enigma that put like a Nike headband on the back because the sport band rubs their back. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, so apparently I just have a high tolerance for discomfort. So I was like, it works for me. It's probably not going to work for you. And I was like, but you can try it if you want. It's probably not going to work. And he's like, okay, I'll try it. So he orders a tier 1 concealed, waits 5 weeks for it, and gets it. And he's like, this is so uncomfortable. I can't believe, how do you do that every day? You don't do that every day. And I was like, dude, I told you, like, everybody is different. Just because I do it doesn't mean you should do it, because everybody is different.
Right.
Find out what works for you.
And you would think that people kind of, I guess there's always new viewers, so you really can't assume that people kind of get the whole YouTube thing by now. Like,
Yeah.
if you haven't figured it out, you guys, like, people are just coming on YouTube basically telling you their own experience, and your mileage may vary. And I think that when I'm dropping these new videos, I'm gonna and I did one recently on like my training rifle setup, where I'm like, well, this is what works for me. This is what I do for me. This is how I am doing stuff, and it may not work for you this way. I'm gonna have tag that on as well, because you have to really spell things out for people. I've noticed in the in the YouTube space, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter. It could be like, fashion brand stuff or gun stuff. You have to spell it out. This may not fit you, right? This may not fit your body type, but this is I'm you can tell them your stats, like I'm 5'10", I weigh this much or whatever. So yeah, like, honestly, guys, if you're watching YouTube, do your research. Like, watch 30 different videos if you can find them on the gun that you want to buy, and then, like, there's going to be commonalities in all those videos. The Glock 45, if every video you watch on the Glock 45, they're going to tell you about the balance of the gun. Every video, they're going to go, wow, this is totally different than previous Glocks because of the shorter slide and the bigger. Yeah, because the bigger frame allows you to get more control over the shorter slide, which is less reciprocating mass. Yes, it's commonality between that gun, and that should be something you consider, right? So, your hand size, go to the gun shop, feel it. Don't just buy it. Don't just order it off Gunbroker and show up at your FFL one day. Like, use your, you guys have to think about these things. I'm at a point now where I have so much extra shit sitting in my house that I don't want to buy one more thing without. I'm like going to look at the M&Ps now for 2.5, 3 months before I decide to go and buy one now.
The big one that I see all the time are people asking about dots, like red dots, but specifically the dot itself, like 6 MOA versus 2 MOA versus 3.5 MOA versus 1 MOA. People will say, I have astigmatism. And should I get the 6 MOA? Because I've heard that other people are, they experience 6 MOA if they have astigmatism better than like 2 MOA.
Yes, so
and
I would say that's true.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, everybody's astigmatism is different. It's like the wave of it, and it's like the intensity of it. If you have astigmatism, your astigmatism might look different than someone else's, so you might see the dot different. You're not going to know until you just look at the dot. And it really sucks that there are people that live in places that, like, I live in Arizona. I can't walk 2 steps without running into a gun store. And all of these gun stores have, and it's like, especially being in like the Phoenix area, like greater Phoenix metro area, just gun stores everywhere. You walk in, they have a bunch of dots out. You just ask to see one and they'll show it to you and you can look at it. That's awesome. If you can do that. If not, I don't know what to tell you, like, order from Amazon and look at it and return it.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So I will say I've realized I have a fairly harsher astigmatism than most people I know. So like most dots, I think it was like a 6 or an 8 I saw, and like I finally saw a crisp dot for the first time. It was like a hollow sun too. It wasn't something like amazing. I think it was like the 407K that is like the big thick dot. And I'm like, this dot is like really clean. But everything, hollow suns, trichicons, aim points, right? I was shooting an aim point the other day, starburst, right? Yeah. I like the smallest dot I can get still, like 2 or 1 MOA. Like this hollow sun's like a 2 MOA. Now on camera, it's going to show up as like a massive dot. Actually, supposed to look pretty small, but it looks all nice and clean. But when I look at it, it's like this little starbursting thing. This is the thing about that. It doesn't affect your shooting. It really doesn't matter. Like unless this one really starbursts worst because it's like a cheaper optic. But even this cheap optic doesn't starburst too bad. It's a 3 MOA dot, so it's a little bit bigger than I'd like. I might flag myself here, but
so that's the other thing too, guys. I mean, you can also get into researching so much that you get into the weeds on crap that really doesn't matter. And at some point, I mean, no pun intended, you have to pull the trigger and get the stupid thing and try it. If it doesn't freaking work, whatever, you take the L or you sell it or you just move on to the next thing eventually after you decide this isn't the right thing for you. Half the time you don't, like, when you're new to this, let me just be real with you. You don't know what the hell's going on to begin with. You can't compare apples to oranges because you have no point of reference. So start trying things, start like putting yourself into the sphere and, feel good about it. Be like, yeah, I made an informed decision, but don't hang your hat on. I'm going to say never say never, and don't hang your hat on anything too deeply because I've evolved in months, never mind freaking, I never thought I was going to go beyond, like, let's say an agency trigger for my Glock or something. And now I'm like, yes, here, take my 370 hard-earned dollars plus shipping and get me a Johnny Glock's trigger. Yes. You know what the only bad thing about getting the Smith & Wesson 2.0 is? You can't put a Johnny Glock's trigger in it. That's the only
Apex.
problem.
I promise you, Apex is just as good.
Really? Okay.
It's that good.
All right,
so
done.
I
Did
do
he?
want to say something really quick about dots before we move on. With the Holos, this is why another reason Holosun I think is just great and innovative. The multi-reticle, I do not give a rat's ass about it unless you're a new shooter and you're trying to pick up the dot. Because you can go, if you're like, I want a bigger dot so it's easier to find. 32 MOA, where is it?
Bang.
32 MOA circle. Big ass fucking dot, right? This is the biggest dot, and they have the ACSS one of like the circle. And if you see the circle, you're doing, I don't like chevrons for pistols, but to each their own. But I can run that. And when I first ran, the first red dot I ever ran on anything was on a rifle. And it was the Holosun. The first like real red dot I got was the Holosun 503 GU because I watched Pete's video back in the day.
Cheers.
This is like 2016, I think, and maybe 2015. And
2016.
Yeah, that might have been it. And so I was like, I want to get like a real red dot, not like some fucking cheap Chinese shit. And I got it. And I used to run the circle dot because it would help me pick up the dot better on the rifle, right? Because I had no real training or anything. So just practicing reps, it was easier when I had a bigger dot to align on target. Now I like the smallest dot possible on it, basically everything. But that comes with time. So the reason I think Holosuns are great, like I own multiple Holosun 503 Gs. I think I have 4 of them. But like across airsoft and real rifles. But the thing is, I run the dot now, the 2 MOA dot. As a newer shooter, I was running the ring. By the time I went to pistol optics back in like, I think 3-4 years ago now. Yeah, 3 years ago now I went to pistol optics. I was running the small dot from the get-go because I was used to red dots. So ultimately, I think something like if a multi-reticle setting is best because, yeah, you could buy something with a 6 or 8 MOA dot and it'll be great as a newer shooter possibly. But then you're stuck with something long-term that you're like, I don't like this anymore. Unless you're shooting competition. And in that case, the big dots are better objectively because your target is like this tall and like this wide. Yeah. So you have a lot of leeway and you're not shooting like defensively or, tactically or whatever. So I think you're fine then if you want to get the big dot for competition. But for serious shooting, to me, small dots are the way to go. Yeah. Now we have gone a bit, so I think we're going to reach our wrap-up point. But I like to leave a question to everyone. So what is your guys' favorite mods to do to your guns? What do you do to your guns? Do you do nothing? Do you just maybe put 10,000 rounds through it and that's your mod? You just train and run ammo because that's one of the best mods there is. Mod yourself, right? Make yourself a better shooter because none of this shit's going to make you a better shooter.
Absolutely.
You will. So, take a class with a good trainer. Take buy a bunch of ammo and shoot it and, watch videos and learn how to shoot well, all this stuff.
Buy a SIRT pistol,
yep,
or a Mantis system for your gun, man. Like
right. Something like that,
home.
Something that's going to actually give you a benefit because if you're a terrible shooter, you could get a Timney trigger, an agency compensator, an SRO, you can get a staccato. Okay, to be fair, when you get a staccato, I have seen some bad people shoot staccatos really well.
Everybody shoots this good.
You can buy skill. This is to be fair.
And CZ Shadow 2. Those are the 2 guns.
And the Johnny Glock's trigger, especially in the micros, will make you better with that particular gun. I guarantee you.
Ultimately, like with this compensator, and I think Brett said it in his video, if you don't have the skill, you're not going to get the most out of this compensator, right? Yeah. I give this to someone. This is the thing. I give this gun to someone who can't shoot very well. They actually get malfunctions because they don't have a good grip because they're limp wristing it. And they don't see an advantage out of it because you may not be able to shoot at that speed. Like that staccato, right? You could probably, I don't know. I bet I could probably get like easily 0.18 out of it split.
It's fast.
Right? I have to really go hard to get that out of a Glock, right? I'm sure I could, without trying, I could hit 0.18.
And good groups too. That's the thing.
Right?
You're not sacrificing.
And much better groups than I'd get out of a 34 or this 19X. So having that skill will get you so much further eventually, right? All these mods we've done, we reached this point of diminishing returns where we're like, yeah, I can shoot really well. Okay, I want my gun to shoot better now, right? So you go with a staccato, you go with a nice trigger, you go with these mods because you're like, I want every little bit I can squeeze. But I will tell you, the average shooter, and I'm not saying this because you're bad, it's just because the average shooter will not see anything out of these mods. What they will see is maybe a red dot, getting a light so they can actually see what the hell they're shooting at. But past that, you're not going to see a lot of improvement out of it. Get better as a shooter, and then invest into things like this. Now, if you have all the money in the world, to be fair, buy a Staccato XC, and then, like, there's no reason to start for Glock. But if you're like someone like me and you're poor, buying one Glock might be all you can afford. Like, I owned one Glock for years, and that was it, right? And then now I have like all the Glocks. So
because they're the best, you Glock shill.
Exactly. So just buy a gun, get good with it, and train. Anything you guys want to leave the good people with, the 5 people that will watch this video.
Go ahead, Brett.
You can shoot a stock gun just fine. If you're not into it, don't mess with anything. Like, it's one of those things where we do a lot of this stuff because it's fun, and it also enhances our shooting ability a little bit. Some things, especially Pete, like you were saying, the trigger in this guy, that makes a difference, but it doesn't matter if you are a crappy shooter. So I would say get as good as you can with a stock gun, and then outside of dot, light, grip texture, once you're good, you can start adding on the other fun stuff if you feel so inclined.
Yeah, for sure. And to tack onto that, just train, guys. And when you're training, obviously try to take take a course from a solid instructor, or learn from what you may consider to be a solid YouTube video. And what I would say is, did that video enhance what you're doing, make you any better when you applied it at the range, so on and so forth. And then when you do that stuff, guys, while you're training, I highly recommend to think through every single little step, no matter how little it is. Like, if you're clearing the garment, think through that. If you're working on concealed carry draws or stuff like that, every little thing accounts and adds up. And if you look at the little details, like I was saying prior, like looking at your dot while you're dry firing, and you notice where the dot is skipping and jumping, like, oh, wow, it is moving low and left, the dot. Why? Oh, let me change my finger position and see if that changes things. Wow, it does. Now it moves, the other way, or whatever, right? Like, just notice the details and apply those details, and I guarantee you guys will become better shooters.
Yep. All right. Brett, where can people find you, subscribe to you, stalk you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, Nightwood Guns on YouTube. Everything else you need to know is in the description. And if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. That's a good place to stalk me. Nightwood Guns.
All right. And Pete?
Yeah, TFN.15 on Instagram, TFN15 on YouTube, and I have all my other stuff on there, Rumble and Twitter. You can find that all in my link tree on IG or on YouTube.
All right, and if you're somehow on my channel and yet need to find me, you can go to controlthegun.org to find all my links to all my socials and fun stuff like that. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Comment your ideas down in the comment section below about guns, carrying, things made in China, all that good stuff we talked about. Leave a like or dislike, whatever you want, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you on the next one.